Welcome. In today's webinar, we will be looking at usage within PeoplePlanner. On the agenda for today, we will be looking at task matrix filters, looking at how to identify and reassign users tasks. We'll then go into terminating a user's record, producing a usage report, looking at the mobile app usage report, how to configure additional transport modes, how to establish what transport modes are assigned to an employee's record, and then reassigning those transport modes within said record. And now for our first demonstration. Before a key system user's record is terminated, you may want to establish what task had been assigned to that user before terminated said user. To find what task had been assigned to a user, you come to the HR area, come to Employee, Reports, and Task Matrix. In this area, you want to select the relevant user's record that you're looking to terminate. You will then establish, utilizing the view, whether or not the user had been assigned to a task which is due, overdue, or completed. In this example, we can see here that the user Callum, of which I'm looking to terminate it, has been assigned to the spot check within Taylor's record. If you're looking to reassign this task to another user or unassign the task, you will need to enter the employee's record on the HR, Employee, and Find. Going into the employee's record, you come to the task area to the right, use the arrow to select the relevant task. Drilling into the task, you will unassign the user by selecting the blank option and save. When terminating a user's record, it's important to establish whether or not that user has been assigned to a task within the employee area, but also within the service user area. To find what task had been assigned to a user in the service user area, you'll come to Service User, Reports, and Task Matrix. Similar to the employee area, you can utilize the user filter to check what task has been assigned to a particular user, and then establishing using the view whether or not the task is due, overdue, or completed. In this case, the user Alec has not been assigned to any task within our service user's record. Onto a second demonstration of how to terminate this user's record. Coming into the settings area, we're going to come to Other, Profile and Users. Using the arrow against the user's record, we're going to click on Terminated and then Save. Once a user has been terminated, they will no longer have access to your PeoplePlanner site. To establish what records have been terminated, we'll use the back arrow. We'll come to the top of this area and change the status from active to terminated, and we can see here that the user Callum will no longer have his login to log on to this site. In this area, we can also utilize our usage report to establish what users are regularly using our system. Clicking on the Smarty button, we can come to View and Usage. In this area, we can utilize the filters at the top to ensure that we can establish when the users are logging on and how often they've been using the site. Now for a third demonstration, we'll be looking at the mobile app usage report. So this report will establish how often and frequently the employees are using the mobile app on their visits to book on and book off. Coming into the settings area, we've got Other, we've got Mobile, and Usage. In this area, we can see here the users of our mobile app, the application, version number, and the last time these users have logged in. Clicking on the export icon here, we can produce this report into an Excel format. When this report has been produced, and all Excel reports from the system, it is possible to utilize the filters in Excel to exclude any information that you do not want to appear. For example, if I were to select the column 1, I can click on my Sort and Filter option and choose Filter. I can then click on the last logging date/time and establish what information I want to display. I would only like the information for July to appear, so I can click on OK, and it's only that information that will be displayed in this area. In this example, we only have 2 users, but I'm sure on your site, when you have multiple users of the mobile app, you can utilize the filters here to establish what month those users are logging on to the mobile app and using it to book on and book off. For a fourth demonstration, I'll be showing you how to limit the number of employees that will utilize the Google Maps feature on your system that will then calculate mileage or travel time for those employees. Every employee's record on your system is assigned to a transport mode. That transport mode determines whether or not Google Maps will calculate mileage or travel time for them. By default, the driver options on your system are typically enabled to allow Google Maps or travel calculation. If you would like to limit the number of employees' record that have access to Google Maps or that utilizes the feature, you can create an additional transport mode and then assign it to the employee's record. In the settings area, we'll come to HR, Employee, and Transport Modes. In this area, it's important to note that by default, our walker option by default is set to ignore travel calculation. What this ignore travel calculation options mean is that when the employee's been assigned to this transport mode, if you have Google Maps enabled, their mileage and travel time will not be calculated on the system. If you were to manually input those mileages will not be calculated onto their payroll. Coming into the driver area here, if for example your contract states that you should only utilize 10 licenses for Google Maps within your employee's record, you may want to record the employee as being a driver without calculating their mileage. A possible recommendation might be to create an additional transport mode for driver, but in brackets you will give a clear description that that transport mode will not calculate miles and travel time. Using the plus button here, we'll give a description to this. Should you wish to record the license information, the MOT details and the vehicle details, you can tick the relevant area here at the top. But when it comes to excluding Google Maps calculations for this driver no Google Maps option, you'll tick ignore travel calculations. You'll enter a warn frequency. This warn frequency is relating to if you've entered the license information or the insurance information and those information are due to be expired, the system can show and flag on the dashboard this information is due to be renewed. Once you've configured this transport mode, you'll click on the Save option. Coming into the Home area, we're going to come to HR, Employee and Find. Drilling into an employee's record, we're going to establish how we can change the transport mode in the record to the driver no Google Maps option to allow the system not to make travel calculations for that employee. In the Travel tab, you will notice that these areas for transport mode, pay type and rate sheet are greyed out. If you want to change the information relating to the travel pay for the employee, you'll change that in the travel details area. However, if you're looking to change the transport mode for the individual, you'll come to the transport details within this section, use the arrow to drill in, you'll click into the drop down and choose driver, no Google Maps and save. This option that I've configured will ignore travel calculation, so that means the employee's miles and travel time will not be calculated, particularly on our payroll. If, for example, you have multiple employees' record, rather than going through each of those records to check the transport mode one by one, it is also possible to produce an export which will establish this information for you in one area. Under the HR area, we're going to come to Employee, Exports and Employee. Leaving the type as CSV, we're going to click on the export icon here to produce our employees' data into an Excel document. On this document, we can utilize a quick find and search to establish the transport information tied to these employees' record. By holding down Ctrl and F for find, we will be able to open up the find and replace feature that will allow us to search for the areas within these records. By tapping in transport, we can see here that we have a transport mode description. Under the transport mode description heading, we will be able to establish here what employees' record are assigned to the type of driver, which by default is set to include travel calculations. So if Google Map is turned on, it will be calculating mileage for these employees. If you have additional transport mode that you would like to exclude, you can utilize the filter in Excel to do so. Clicking on the number 1, we'll be able to come back to the sort and filter option here. Going back to the heading for transport, we'll be able to click into the transport area here. We will then untick all of the options that will not be calculating travel for our employees. So that includes our newly configured driver no Google Maps option, and we're going to click on OK. In this area, I can now see that the majority of the records for our employees are assigned to the driver transport mode. By highlighting how many records we have assigned to a transport mode that does include travel calculation, we can see a count in Excel just at the bottom here, which lets us know how many records are with a transport mode that will be utilised in Google Maps.